We're moving house or apartment, so as we record this, the place is a bit of a mess as we try to make sense of the amount of rubbish that we've collected over the 7 years or so that we've been here. Still, our move gives us a chance to share with you guys some insights into how much it costs to rent and move into a new apartment here in Japan. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video to find out just how much our move is going to leave us out of pocket. Before we get into all that though, thanks as always for your support of the YouTube channel. It means so much to us. If you haven't done so already, click on that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss when our next video drops. And if you do find this video to be useful, don't forget to let us know in the comments and smash that like button. All right, let's get into this. There are probably two main challenges that most foreigners living in Japan associate with finding a place to live or moving house here. One is encounters with landlords who are reluctant to rent their properties to foreigners. The other is, in some cases, the seemingly exorbitant amount of money that needs to be paid up front before you even move into your new place. Thankfully, in the years I've been living in Japan, both of these challenges seem to have reduced in scale. Landlords reluctant to rent out to foreigners are fewer and further between, and the number of real estate agencies specializing in the needs of Japan's foreign residents seems to have increased. In my own case, having a Japanese partner helps immeasurably, and I am guilty of turning to her pretty much every time the admin of life in Japan gets a bit complicated. Even then, we have been turned down over the years on account of me being, well, not Japanese. No encounters like that, thankfully, this time around. In fact, most of the estate agents we spoke to about this issue said that it's something of a rarity these days, especially if you're able to communicate smoothly in Japanese, you have a few years left on your visa, and of course, you're in a job with a decent income. So let's concentrate on the cost. The cost of, well, pretty much everything is in the spotlight these days as we feel the effects of inflation here and around the world. Increasing import costs, increases in the corporate goods price index, which covers the kind of materials needed to build homes, and the weak yen are expected, according to some, to lead to or contribute to an increase in property prices. This in turn may lead to people choosing to rent over buying a place, which could lead to an increase in demand and therefore could lead to an increase in rents. According to real estate and housing information website Lifeable Homes, rents for standard properties in Tokyo increased by about 3.64% over the 3 years leading up to the summer of 2022. By standard property, they mean a place that was built 10 years ago with a unit area of 70 square meters. By local standards, I would say that that's a pretty large apartment, probably more aimed towards families. So it seems a standard monthly rent in central Tokyo is somewhere around 225,000 yen per month as of the summer in 2022. Ouch, is all I can say to that really. At this stage, I could only dream of being able to afford that kind of rent. If we break things down by size though, the prices might appear to be a little less soul-destroying. At 20 square meters though, we're getting into one-room shoebox territory. On a quick side note, these rents are for what are known as Shintai Properties. When it comes to renting apartments here in Japan, as you go up in your sort of lifestyle demands and your budget, you'll encounter essentially two types of properties, what are known as Shintai and Bunjo properties. The former are properties which are aimed at being rented out to tenants. So the construction quality, if you like, is perhaps a little bit maybe lower than the latter Bunjo properties, where each unit is aimed for purchase. You'll probably see the immediate difference in, say, Bunjo properties in terms of like the walling is much thicker, more concrete and soundproof, and the balconies are much wider and spacious than in a Shintai property. Anyway, if these rents seem expensive to you and the potential for price increases are of concern, at least Japan seems to be faring better than other countries according to reports. In my native UK, for example, there are reports of a rent and housing crisis, with individual rents having increased by 4.4% in the year leading up to January 2023, according to some reports. Some people are reporting that increases of 20% are even more common. So to our situation, we're two people, both working full-time on, let's say, steady salaries. We were looking to improve our circumstances a bit by finding a larger, newer place, even if that meant moving further away from Tokyo, where I work. We had a budget of around 130,000 yen per month, including for parking, and we were looking for a place that started from around 60 square meters in size. Now, one of the minor frustrations that I find about life in Japan is the way some industries present their prices in very misleading or sort of convoluted ways. Airfares, for example. 20,000 yen return to Hawaii. Airlines or agencies will scream. Well, that's great, but that's just for your seat on the plane, which won't take off or go anywhere unless you pay the remaining 100,000 yen in fuel surcharges and all the rest of it. It's often the same when hunting for apartments here. Agencies will display the rent in large print at the top of the page, but it isn't made complete until you add up a number of costs that are often printed in very small font and buried among other text that you need to look out for. So here's a breakdown of our rents. Every month we'll pay the following. The yachin, the so-called rent, the figure printed in the large bold font. The kyoikihi, that's maintenance for common areas of an apartment building. The rent for the chushijo, or parking, getting further away from Tokyo, and that's about half of what we pay now. We've also got the hoshoryo, which is a sort of guarantee agency fee. So if we can't make rents, then the owner can make a claim against the guarantor, I guess. This is a percentage of the rent. I think in our case, we've found a place that has kept the costs pretty simple. In other cases, you might find buried in the text a few hundred yen in anshin support here, or 10% of your monthly salary and some sort of insurance there on top of your actual rent. The message here is not to get too carried away with that figure in the large bold font at the top of the page. There are almost certainly more costs to come. Now, in terms of actually moving, Japan used to be pretty notorious for the fees demanded of tenants from landlords and real estate agencies before they could actually move into their new place. The two main culprits were shikikin. This is a kind of deposit, and from this landlords would take out the fee for cleaning the apartment after you move out, and any extras that might be required for damages. Back in the day, it wasn't unusual for shikikin to be the equivalent of 2 months' worth of rent. These days, there is an increasing number of places for which no shikikin is charged. On the other hand though, a cleaning fee may be required up front, as is the case for us this time. The other main culprit of Japan's large upfront rental fees is, or was, reikin, sometimes called key money, other times simply a gift to the landlord for them letting you rent their place. Unlike shikikin, you'll never see your reikin money again. But again, reikin is becoming something of a thing of the past these days. For us, however, this time around, it's 1 month's worth of rent, 97,000 yen. Thankfully, there is no shikikin or reikin required for the parking spot. We also need to pay the first full month of rent and maintenance fee in advance. That's for both the apartments and the parking spot, as well as for those days that remain of the month that we actually move in. All that adds up to around 245,000 yen for us. And finally, there are the administrative fees for the real estate agency and guarantor company. The Chukai Tesuryo, that's the realtor administration fee. Around 1 month's rent or so, which is fairly standard practice. And around 57,000 yen to the guarantor company. That's 50% of the total monthly rent in our particular case, but it does vary. So here's the total in admin and cleaning. So the overall cost that we've had to pay before we can even move into the apartment is... The largest cost for us outside for those directly related to the rent will come from the moving company. We came to an agreement with one service for just under 70,000 yen, I think. That includes the use of a single truck into which they will load and deliver all of our large items. They'll also fill any leftover space with the boxes that they've provided for us. Now, my understanding is that around 70,000 yen for our circumstances is pretty cheap for the use of a reputable moving company. Another company that we approached quoted us more than double that price. Other costs will come from disposing of some of our larger unwanted items, which at this stage will be my mamachari bicycle and maybe a clothes rack. We'll take these in the back of the car to the city-run disposal place and pay whatever is required from them to handle things from there. Anyway, wow, I think that just about covers the main costs of moving house and renting a new place here in Japan based on our latest experience. Of course, really excited about the new place, which is good because after we've finally moved in, we probably won't have any money left to go out. So with that being said, do let us know if you have any suggestions as to how to keep costs down when moving house or renting a new place here in Japan. Of course, stick around on the channel. We've got other videos related to the cost of living in Japan on there. Have a look through them. Hopefully you'll find them useful. As always, thanks for your support of the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell for notifications so you don't miss when our next video drops. Smash the like button and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.